Welcome to Champagne Chats, discussions from the green room where we talk all things about events and the events industry. Today we'll be talking about event life with my GLAM sister, a fabulous girl. She's soulful and sophisticated. She's cheeky and funny. She loves her food. And you'll often find her behind the grandest of grand pianos in the most beautiful settings. Please welcome Nicholette.
Yay! Thank you, everyone.
Hi. How are you doing?
I am so excited to be here.
It's very exciting. This is all very informal. This is just a bit of a chat because I know a bit about you, but I know that people listening are going to want to hear a little bit about you and your background. So the funny thing about this concept is green room, right? So how many times have we been in the green room?
So many times.
Before or after an event, and we're like, this is actually the most fun part of the night.
It's my favorite.
It's my favorite.
It's beyond my favorite.
And there's times where we've sat there and we've got our GLAM girls. We've got Sophie Foster, Mia Matheson and Nicholette C and myself. And sometimes we might have a rehearsal in the afternoon and we mightn't be performing until hours later. So you've got time to kill and we'll do our hair and makeup and we'll chat. And I'm in awe of you girls when you're sound checking and I'm listening to your vocal warm-ups and we're sharing makeup tips and it's just a lot of fun.
It really is. It's actually a little magical moment backstage for us. It doesn't feel like work at all.
It doesn't.
Because we all get to be together.
Yeah.
You get to see your friends at work. You get to share glitter eyeshadow. And lipstick and all the things that we love. We're always exchanging earrings and swapping around which belt goes with which shoes. It's so much fun and it's like having a sisterhood at work.
At work.
So it doesn't feel like work at all.
How did you get started in the events industry?
I went through quite a boring route, I think. I went through WAPA, so I did a degree in music, and then from there I launched my singing career.
Boring WAPA, I mean, that's that's pedigree, high-level musical experience. So
yeah, I was really lucky to go there and I learned a lot, but I think the biggest thing I took away from that was my network, which I've learned is one of the most important things ever. Just for example, Sophie and Mia.
I know.
We all met at uni doing WAPA, singing together, learning harmonies and all the things. So I think that's how I really got started is wanting to do music and then going to learn it and then from there figuring out.
I know for a fact you didn't actually go straight from school to WAPA.
Yes.
What was your first job or what was your first degree?
Yes, I had a whole other life. I was an accountant, oddly enough. Isn't that weird?
It's so wild.
It's a funny thing to say and I was such a little nerd and long story short, I actually right out of school, actually before I finished school, I got into this program where I could do my first year of accounting while I was at year 12.
She's really smart, y'all. She's beautiful, she's talented, and she's actually smart.
I just loved to study and it was so weird. I'm a weirdo. I just loved studying. I loved learning. And I just started doing uni and then when I was 18, I had a full-time job at a Big Four, one of those global firms. And I worked for a couple of years, but I was also teaching at the university that I was studying at. So I was in first year, but I was teaching first years. It was so strange. And so I did this whole life, as I was 18, 19, 20, 21, learning about the corporate life and what it looks like from that end and very quickly realised that it's just not as fun as the green room. It's not as fun as being on stage. You know, I was at my keyboard every day wishing it was an actual keyboard. So
right, so you have those memories of actually working in the corporate sector, playing music, and then you decided you were going to go back and retrain?
Yeah, I wasn't even playing music at all during the time. No, I was actually just an accountant. And an accounting teacher at uni.
An accountant? Oh my gosh, I immediately, when you said teaching, I thought going back and teaching music, but you were an accounting teacher.
Yes, I was teaching at
wild.
Uni. Isn't that weird? But I completely shifted from music because I couldn't see music as a viable career.
Oh, 100%. It's not something, I was always taught you go to school, you get a qualification. Yep. I finished uni, I got a degree. Yep. I chose public relations because I liked ab fab and that seemed like a sensible decision. Literally the only You should not allow a 17-year-old to decide the destiny based on a favorite TV show.
crazy?
But public relations ended up being quite useful. But I never in a
Totally.
million years would have thought I've worked in music because it just wasn't something that you thought it was an actual job. But then we've had a similar experience of working in corporate and realizing there's corporate events and music, and you have the opportunity to play in corporate events.
Totally.
And it's a very different experience to people who have just done like straight up gigging, nightclubs, bars, jazz clubs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, or original artists.
Or original artists, which is a whole other grind.
Yeah.
And shout out to them.
Which is what I always thought that you had to be as a musician. You had to be a Taylor Swift. You had to write your own music and then like release it and like hopefully people buy it and then go on tour and that's how you make money.
Absolutely.
And you had to get like millions and millions of people following you to like make money. And I was like, I just don't feel like I want to do that. I don't want to take that path.
Yeah.
But then seeing this whole other side now, when I went to WAP, I still didn't know. I just knew that I wanted to sing.
Yeah.
Slowly, I think even now I'm learning what the corporate event scene is like because it's huge.
Yeah.
It's so diverse and there's so much work.
Yes.
It's so fun.
It is. And there's not just corporate events. So you're very well respected in the wedding.
Yeah, I sing a lot of
What's your most common wedding song that you get requested?
you know, it's got to be the one from Crazy Rich Asians, and I don't know why people ask me for that song. It's just
No, I can't see it.
I don't know why they're like, do you know the song from Crazy Rich Asians? It's actually by Elvis Presley and it's Can't Help Falling in Love.
Which is hilarious because it's not from Crazy Rich Asians.
No,
it's a very famous Elvis song.
It's literally an Elvis song.
I don't actually really love that movie.
I know. I actually love that movie. I'm Singaporean, so I love it.
Are you from Perth? Have you always lived here?
Well, I am Singaporean, but I moved here when I was just young. So I feel like Perth is home.
Yeah.
But I am available worldwide.
I'm not originally from Perth. I'm from Sydney and I'm very, very proud West Australian. But I definitely feel that there is that kind of feeling that people need to kind of go out to prove themselves. On the flip side, I feel like there's a lot of really amazing people who have moved back since COVID, incredible talent who have moved everywhere and they've realised this is an incredible place to live.
Yeah.
And especially if you can live and work anywhere, like why wouldn't you be based here?
Yeah.
Travel, go and experience that. I love travel. I've travelled a bit this year, but I think this is a really great base, really great base. And so
Totally. I couldn't agree
Perth
more.
to Asia, like it's easy.
Exactly. And I do think that because we're a smaller industry, that you tend to have less people competing against you or like you just have less people in the pool. So it's easier to make your mark, I think, than if I was maybe in a big city like London or New York. I'd be like, wow, this is where everything happens, but it's also like, where do I start?
Yeah.
Whereas for us, I feel like it's been not such a hard slog, even though we've worked hard, but it's not been this hard slog to like establish your brand and make your mark in the industry. So then like you're an industry name.
Yes.
Which I'm still working on, so that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's much easier in a smaller city like
for an
Perth.
accountant to reinvent herself as the
It's so funny.
It's not something everyone can do. And obviously you've got the talent, but like what an amazing thing to be able to fully retrain yourself.
Yeah.
And within the last few years.
Such a wild thought. I actually forget because that was 10 years ago now I was an accountant.
Wow.
I know.
So you still can't do my tax return this year?
Dude, I can't even do my own tax return. So
and we're very glad, very, very appreciative. So the GLAM Girls, our DJ vocal band, which is between Sophie Foster, Mia Matheson, Nicholette C and myself, our glamager, Matt, who does all of the technical, and our finance guru. And I really appreciate having an accountant who runs the admin because it makes things really, that's all part of the business that people don't actually understand.
Yeah.
The performance is the best part. It's the cherry on top.
It's the 10%.
But it is the 10% of the time.
Teeny, tiny bit of my time, which I wish was 100%.
How much more time? Like if people ask, are you working today? I've stopped saying, no, I'm not working today if I don't have a gig. It's like, I work every day. I just don't have a gig today.
Literally, you've nailed it.
Yeah.
I work every day.
Do you working today? And you're like, probably. And if I'm not, I'm feeling guilty because I have stuff to do that I'm not doing.
Business owner life.
Yeah.
It's totally what it is. Just the smallest thing, like even having this setup here.
Yeah.
It's been in the making for a long time.
It has.
And you guys can't see, but I can see the entire setup. It's an entire production thing happening here.
Thank you very much.
That they've had to do And it's not just like, oh, pick a date, come up with some questions, talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like a whole thing to be able to produce one small bit of content, one small bit of performance, one like feature performance, which we do. It's so much.
But part of the reason why this needed to come together is I just feel really braggy about my cool friends in the industry. I do. I've got friends who would just like talk about like my friend who's a drag queen and my friend who's a magician, my friend who's a hypnotist, my friend who are singers.
Amazing.
They're just cool people. So I just really love talking about them, and I love talking to you. And it's like, it just kind of seemed like a natural opportunity to actually share these stories.
Yeah.
Because it is the most fun part of the job. You'll get that beautiful picture at the end and it all looks fun and it's all very fabulous. But this is the substance. This is the reason why you stay in the events industry. For me anyway, I believe, is because of the people that you get to work with.
Yeah. It's a very lonely thing when you're like building your own business and like it's really scary. There's no security in it. There's no like I can look at my calendar for the next 6 months and be like freaking out because there's gaps in there.
It's not like a salary. There's no guaranteed
There's
weekly or
no
monthly
guarantee. But the people that you're with that cheer you on and say like, hey, no, I'm in the same boat. You know, I'm experiencing the same things. And that's really been a big support to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like the industry has been very kind to me because I feel like I'm still quite young in this industry. I graduated about 5 years ago now, but 3 of those years were quite questionable years of like
Absolutely.
up and downs.
Yeah.
And I think so because of that, I feel like I'm still quite young. I'm learning the ropes, but everyone that has come before me has been so gracious and so welcoming, and it's been a very open and accepting industry.
Yeah.
And everyone's been just generous with their advice.
I think that's who you make sure that's who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
That's not a blanket statement on the industry.
No.
But I definitely think that you are surrounding yourself with the people that are, you know, like-minded, and you're a very generous person. So I know for a fact that you give a lot to other people and you give people up-and-comers opportunities and pass things on. It's all about paying it forward, really.
It really is. And I think once you realize that like there's enough work to go around for everyone and you believe in the value of your brand, that will speak for itself.
Absolutely.
You don't have to really compete. There's this quote that I love.
Amen to that.
Yes, super. Because this quote that I always go back to is competition happens at the bottom and collaboration happens at the top.
Cheers to that one.
Okay, cheers. Chin, chin.
I really like that because that's part of the reason why GLAM came together, because of you and I.
Yeah, because I stalked you. Because I was like, who's this girl that's just moved back? I don't know if I've told you this, but I first started following you when you had just moved back and you were in isolation. I distinctly remember the story where you were just like opening your garage and you have freedom. And I'm like, this girl is awesome. Like, now that she's out, we should hang out. And I didn't even know what it was going to look like. I just knew that I loved your brand. Your values spoke really clearly to me and clearly aligned with me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the easiest way that things organically come together.
Absolutely.
Or have come together for us. I found that once you really align with the right people, it's more so that than like getting the right talent fit.
Yeah. We just knew that we wanted to do like a DJ vocal collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a bigger idea, which was obviously to incorporate the rest of the GLAM singers. We didn't know what it was going to be called then. We just knew we wanted to do a live DJ format.
Yeah, that wasn't just the same as like what we have been involved in the past. And so that was really exciting. But I think why it was so organic was because we actually just fit.
We got along. And that was what I guess the core of GLAM is.
Yeah, totally.
Just like-mindedness. And then when you told me about Sophie and Mia, you were like, you'll love them.
Everyone has their own unique thing that they bring on stage, and it's like, wow, like look at Sophie and how well she does this, or like Mia, and like it's just like you just level up.
Let's take that little segue to talk about where you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. You know, up until a few years ago, I was still like straddling, and even up until a few weeks ago, I was still straddling into this full-time thing, being really, really full-time, and like knowing that I'm going to be okay. Because I've never felt like this is sustainable yet. Because of the pandemic, it really caused a lot of us to have
huge
feathers ruffled a little bit.
You're a hard worker as well. So I think you're used to having a lot on your plate more so than most people. Like
Yeah.
you're naturally someone who's going to take on a lot.
Like to be busy.
You like to be busy. And then when you have a gap, I know because I'm the same. I'm like, there's a tiny gap in there.
Yeah.
I can fill
You're
it with
like, I
something.
have one Friday off in 6 months.
Yeah.
Stress, you know?
Well, I'll just find something. It won't be like, if it's
Yeah.
free, I'll fill it. Like,
Yeah.
we like that. That's part of our personality. But
Totally.
for you to leave that free space, you were talking before about those gaps in your diary. What are you actually leaving that space for? What is the opportunity that you're hoping?
I think what I have realized, because I think branding of your personal brand in this creative professional space is all about figuring out who you are and what sort of space you want to operate in.
Yeah.
I'm constantly refining that, as is everyone.
Absolutely.
But I feel like I'm on this big journey of like really self-discovery. Like,
Yeah.
who am I really? What am I really going to do? Where do I see myself? And really allowing myself to not limit anything.
Yes.
Dream big. So I do think of myself as, yes, I'm the girl that sings and plays on a grand piano, but I also want to do way more.
Yeah.
So I do see myself as someone who kind of collaborates a lot more with events and with whoever is putting on an event or
Fantastic.
creating a space to really bring something to the next level, because I'm really passionate about fresh, unique ideas blossoming and flourishing on stage rather than like, let's just do this, let's just do that, let's just put a set list together and perform it. Because we can all do that at a certain stage of your career. And to be honest, I know so many, even the kids at Whopper now, they're so talented and they can just sing anyone under the table, right? And they can perform, you can give them this music and they can do it. But for me, I'm really passionate about really bringing message, meaning, purpose to that feature performance or that, creative direction of something where I want to be a part of the idea. I want to be a part of like creating it rather than just like look pretty and sit behind a piano.
Love that.
Because I do think that I kind of am put in that box sometimes.
Yeah.
When you look at these like, world-class performers like, the Adeles or whatever, and they put together these like really meaningful moments where it's not like just a great singer singing. It's like, wow, what a moment, what a performance.
Yeah.
That performance really matched that event with a message and it really aligned with their personal life and what they were stood for and everything. I just feel like there's more to performing than just like a fleeting entertainment like piece.
Absolutely.
So I think I see myself in the next 5 to 10 years stepping way more into that, and I have exciting things hopefully coming into fruition in the next year where I do want to step into that, where I might not be the one on the mic, or I might be, but I'm also the one kind of driving a lot and bringing the team together. And I got into a really busy stage where it was just churning out performances and it just started to feel not meaningless, but it started to feel like really routine, and it's just like sing a song, put your lashes on, and it's like it didn't feel meaningful anymore.
Yeah. It's the emotion behind it. And I can feel that from you. I think what you were saying before about like the bigger pictures and the dreams, it's being a part of something bigger. It's creating those moments, because ultimately you can't perform unless there's an audience.
Yeah.
And unless that person is moved or motivated, you don't get that kick.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between performing and just being up there and being on stage and actually giving someone a show, a moment, like feeling something.
Yes. Yeah. It's a connection.
It's the connection, isn't it? Do you have like any mentors or anyone that you sort of look up to in the industry?
Yeah. Matt and Kate Woolley.
Oh, girl.
Yes, big snap from Glamager. Love that. I love you guys. Yeah, I think I've learned a lot from you guys just because, one, you guys just work so well together. Also, I think you guys have this like there's no glass ceiling sort of approach to things. Like, let's just do it. Screw what people think or like whatever.
Absolutely.
And so I've learned a lot of that from you guys. There's a few people I think on Instagram in America, over East that are
I love that we have that like genuine connection. Like we've connected with the same people, some of the same artists in Melbourne.
Yes.
We're both like massive fans of people that we've never actually met.
No.
And they're also very supportive, and like there is a genuine support and sort of connection.
Yeah. And I think I've learned from a lot of these people, it's one, authentically being yourself.
Yes.
So just being yourself, finding who you are and showing up. because here's another quote that I'll drop because I'm so cliche, but you have to really, really show up authentically as yourself so that the people that are looking for you can find you. I think it's because you see what people are doing and you're like, oh, if I do that, then I'll get those sort of gigs.
Yeah.
Or if I follow in someone's footsteps, then I'll be able to work at the same level, charge the same rates as them or whatever. But I've realized that actually I just need to stick to my own lane. And that has always been my motto.
Yeah.
Stick to your own lane, look at other people and like take bits and inspiration from them to really motivate you and drive you. Really stay true to yourself because then people can see you. Before I was the girl at the piano, I was the girl singing at pubs, like really crappy bars.
But you've got to pay your dues.
Yeah.
You do.
And I couldn't see myself as the girl at the piano. Also, I don't think there was a girl that was like singing in ball gowns at the piano a lot in Perth. There are a few girls that do that, but I couldn't see anyone that was like really doing it the way I really wanted to do it, which is like dress like a princess every day of my life and wear diamond earrings from Lovisa, you know. But I think I couldn't see anybody that was doing what I wanted yet. So I just had to stick to my own lane.
Yeah.
And then I became
exactly.
And then it became that thing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden people were offering me the gigs that I wanted. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did they know me? But your brand goes before you. Your reputation goes before you. And people are recommending me that I didn't even know they knew I existed.
Isn't that wild? So your reputation, people are recommending you based on other people's recommendation and they haven't even seen you.
Yeah.
And that also speaks a lot, specifically I would say to Perth.
Yes.
Recommendations.
Yes.
More than any Google algorithm.
Yes.
Will always take you
more
further.
Than any hashtag.
More than any hashtag.
Social. So I think social media is very important.
Yes,
obviously. But really it's about the right people recommending you.
Yeah, doing a good job each and every time. And if you don't, having a relationship with a client who's like, that's an anomaly or whatever it is, it's building up on each and every event and that's where the recommendations and words of mouth.
Yeah, totally. And for me, because I really operate in that private sector where it's I do a lot of private parties, I do a lot of like 60th birthday events.
That's a sweet spot. Honestly, the 60th I've been to.
So you have a piano in your mansion in Mosman Park, I'll be there.
Yeah, exactly.
I really belong here.
I'm telling you, 50th and 60th are the most fun because if they've had kids, they're grown up, they're old enough, they're probably there looking after mum and dad on the night.
Yeah, exactly.
And they young enough to enjoy the night and have a great time, generous that they'll make sure that they don't demote the drinks package to the basic bubbles.
Exactly.
We stick to the good champagne for a 60th birthday. Yeah. And they know how to have a good time.
And they all have friends that are having birthdays. They all have friends that have kids that are getting married. It's like, for me, that's really my network. You're free
for my daughter's wedding and and that's how it works because they've seen you and they know what you can do.
It really is. I had a moment at a gig last week where I was like sitting there playing as all the guests were entering and I had this moment where I was like, all these people know me. They're all saying hi to me and they all, you know, and these are super high profile, like better do a good job, make sure, you know, like I do everything really well and I prepared for the gig really well and I thought about what I was wearing and you just put your best foot forward. But then during my breaks, everybody's coming up and saying hi because I played at their dad's 70th. I played at their mum's this one. And it's just, you realize like your reputation really precedes you.
So my next question about the type of events you're doing, and I know you might not be able to share, so I'll leave up to you. What types of events that you're doing now that are coming up and what type of events do you enjoy doing?
I love lots of different types of events. I really love the events where I do get to play at a piano because I feel very comfortable. That's like, it's my most natural self, I think. Just me sitting. But I also love when I get to do GLAM. I think those are my kind of top two things at the moment is that just I love singing with Sophie and Mia and I love the four of us performing together. It really is super magical for me. But another thing that I've been recently very excited about because I'm a Disney nerd, I have connected with like a live musical show from the UK and I'm going to get to do that in 4 or 5 weeks.
This isn't a little thing. You need to explain exactly what this gig is because this is monster.
I know. Honestly, they're
when
legendary.
you told me about this opportunity and then I Googled who they were. So tell me who this group is.
Okay, they're called Masayoki. Shout out to this band. I love them.
Masayoki. Were they the same guys that were here for Fringe Festival?
Mm-hmm. So they're an amazing UK band and they were building their Australia tour following. And when they were here, they didn't fly a female singer keyboardist over from the UK, even though they work with a couple there and they're phenomenal. But they were looking for someone local. And they were also looking for a guitarist. And so randomly, the 2 people that got recommended by, it was actually Borby from PSO that recommended the both of us.
Wow.
Me and Hans. And so I got to do the gig with them and it was an amazing gig because I got to sing all of the theatre songs from Les Mis to Disney to everything in between, Grease and it was just so special.
It was just literally a dream gig. And you got to perform on your actual birthday as a Disney princess in front of I remember seeing that picture of you just being like, oh my girl, I just felt so happy for you.
Oh my gosh.
Good to see the elation in your
face.
It's
my dream. It's a little bit like tangent to my brand, but it's like so innate in me.
It's core to your soul though.
It's core to who I am. I was born to do that show, genuinely. And so they've extended such a generous invitation to come to the UK and do the show with them at the theatres. So you're going to
perform with them in the UK. Mm-hmm. That is so exciting.
So exciting. I get on a plane in a few weeks and yeah, I think those are the things that are really exciting to me. But I also am looking across the pond a little bit and seeing what people in Sydney and Melbourne are doing and seeing if I can go over there, experience the level of creative events because I feel like there's people pushing the envelope. Absolutely. In Sydney and Melbourne. It's just so exciting to watch. Yeah. So I just want to experience that and take what I can from there and then bring it to Perth. You know, there is
hunger for it as well. Mm-hmm. People are wanting it, but you have to give them the idea.
Yes. And I think, you know, going over there and experiencing a little bit of that. So I have a few things in the works. I think Singapore, UK, Sydney, Melbourne.
That's so exciting.
I know, very exciting now that we can fly anywhere without stressing.
I know. 2 of the biggest, most amazing pieces of advice that were given to me that I've taken on and I think about it all the time. You say yes and you figure it out later. Mm-hmm. Number 1, always say yes. There's so many moments that continually happen where I go, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And then you write back and go, yep, no worries, I could do that. And the other piece of advice I got from Kathleen DL, one of my very first jobs, was you don't have to be an asshole to get ahead.
No.
You can be nice and successful in business. Yes. And I truly believe that's part of the key of why I love what I do is because I make sure I surround myself with people that are good, kind-hearted, empathetic, trustworthy. And that's the network that you work with.
Yeah. I think you strike a really good balance of knowing your worth and value.
Stand your ground.
Stand your ground. And that's really, really important. So it's always a tension that you have to hold between, I think, adding value and making it work because the events industry is so crazy sometimes and just like, yep, I'll do this. I'll fill this gap. I'll do this versus like, no, I'm not going to do that. You're only paying me to like, you know, you have to like strike a balance. And sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes you do it and you give extra or whatever. But you don't, like you said, you don't have to be an asshole about it. You can just always be nice but you don't have to apologize. I'm learning that. You don't have to say sorry.
It's really, really hard when we have been COVID sort of building up and during COVID, like getting whatever we can to sort of get things over the line.
Yeah.
You say yes to a lot of things that you mightn't have said yes to otherwise. Exactly. And now it's the new era. Yes. New era. And
I'm here for the new era.
Yeah. I love the fact that you're keeping space in your diary where a serial workaholic Nicholette would have had job upon job. There would have been no room for opportunities. No. Like you wouldn't have been able to
go to the UK, go to Singapore next week, all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
But that takes like, really backing yourself and taking that risk. So I think you should be really proud of that because that's a big thing.
That's what it is. I think you have to bank on yourself.
Yeah.
You have to bet on yourself. You have to know that this is the right move and the right time as well. You can't expect to do that if you've done 0 gigs, right? You can't.
100%.
You have to pay your dues and there is an element of that as well. Just sit tight and know that the work that you've put in will pay off.
Absolutely.
I'm just talking to myself at this point.
I know, I feel like
this is my own advice that I just say to myself every night.
it is. It's that reassurance.
Yeah.
It's just been such a joy to chat to you today. I feel like I've learned so much, even though I feel like I know you.
I know, I'm like, this is how we chat anyway.
This is how we chat anyway.
Got any,
I'm like, are we actually filming?
I don't know if the filming is going to be easy to edit. Sorry, Matt, but
No.
we just went do.
Yeah, well, that's all part of it. Like,
That's just how we are.
There's questions, there's a format, but really, like, the whole idea of champagne chats in the green room is just sharing the real, like, behind the scenes of what it's like to work in the industry, which is just basically chatting. Like, we just sit there and we chat and we talk about absolutely everything. I always find it really interesting. I always felt that other people would find it interesting.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part about the event.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining me today,
Thank you for
Nicholette,
having
my
me.
fabulous girl.
Oh,
Shall we cheers on that?
chin chin.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And remember, may the only pain in your life be champagne.